Joe Gray screaming on the ground before being dragged, his legs limp, into the van, witnesses said, as he was crying out in pain. You know, do the police really have something to prove? Do they need to? My goodness. How about this? Michael Brown's parents file a lawsuit against Ferguson. Well, I guess. Michael Brown's parents filed a wrongful death lawsuit against the city of Ferguson today, opening a new chapter in the legal battle over the shooting that killed their son and sparked a national protest movement about the way police treat blacks. Attorneys for Brown's parents promised the case would bring to light new forensic evidence and raise doubts about the police version of events. Some of that evidence, they said, had been overlooked in previous investigations. The narrative of the law enforcement all across the country for shooting unarmed people of color is the same, that they had no other choice. Attorney Benjamin Crump said, but time and time again, the objective evidence contradicts the standard police narrative. Brown's parents, Leslie McSpadden and Michael Brown Sr., attended a news conference announcing the lawsuit outside the St. Louis County Courthouse. A tear rolled down McFadden's cheek as Crump spoke. It's all part of the journey, she said. The case had been expected for months. If it comes to trial, the lawsuit could force a full review of all the evidence in the shooting and bring key witnesses to be questioned in open court, including Darren Wilson, the white officer who shot Brown. Wilson and former Ferguson Police Chief Tom Jackson were also named in the complaint. And it just goes on and on and on. Well, General Petraeus sentenced to 2 years probation for a military leak. Former CIA Director David Petraeus, whose career was destroyed by an extramarital affair with his biographer, was sentenced today to 2 years probation and fined $100,000 for giving her classified material while she was working on the book. The sentencing came 2 months after he agreed to plead guilty to a federal misdemeanor count of unauthorized removal and retention of classified material. The plea agreement carried a possible sentence of up to a year in prison. In court papers, prosecutors recommended 2 years probation and a $40,000 fine. But Judge David Kiesler increased the fine to reflect seriousness of the offense. He said Petraeus committed a grave and uncharacteristic error in judgment. Appearing calm and wearing a business suit, Petraeus made a brief statement before he was sentenced, apologizing for the pain my actions have caused. Petraeus' attorney, Jake Sussman, said this was not a case about public dissemination of classified information, but the wrongful removal of materials. But prosecutor James Melendez said, this is a serious criminal offense. He was entrusted with the nation's most classified secrets. The defendant betrayed that trust. Melendez says Petraeus compounded that trust by lying to the FBI. You know, I don't know. I think maybe he got what he had coming to him, huh? Now, Arizona Sheriff acknowledges investigation into a judge's wife. Arizona Sheriff George Arpaio dropped a bombshell in court today, acknowledging his former lawyer had hired a private investigator to look into the wire of the federal judge, or the wife of the federal judge, presiding over a racial profiling lawsuit against the sheriff. The hearing took the strange turn after Arpaio finished his testimony and Judge Murray Snow began asking him questions, including whether the sheriff was investigating his family. Arpaio said he believed his former lawyer, Tim Casey, had hired a private investigator to carry out the secret investigation of Snow's wife. The move stemmed from a purported comment that Snow's wife made about the judge not wanting Arpaio to get reelected in 2012. Casey declined comment, citing attorney-client privilege when the Associated Press reached him after the development in court. Now, don't go away, because when we come back, we're going to talk about the IRS loses. The first case, a preparer's fraud is attributable to the taxpayer and not the preparer. I'll tell you all about that right after these brief messages. Don't go away. Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful in visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make The Interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios, Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
The story you are about to see is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Oh yeah, here we are, my favorite part of the show, the IRS loses. And my first case up here today is a return preparer's fraud. Let me tell you about it. A truck driver, Vincent Allen, hired a tax professional to prepare his return for him. Now, the professional included several false deductions on the return without Allen being aware of it. The IRS found out and asserted back taxes and penalties, but Allen objected that the 3-year statute of limitations had run out on the return. The IRS answered that fraud had been committed on the return, so the limitation period did not apply. But Allen protested that he hadn't committed the fraud. He went to court, and this is what the judge said. They found for the IRS the return was fraudulent regardless of who committed the fraud, so no limitation period actually did apply. Too bad, huh? You thought I was going to go the other way. How about this? Social clubs lose a tax-exempt status for receiving too much income from the public. Here's the case. Social clubs formed for the nonprofit recreational purposes of their members can be tax exempt under the tax code, but they can receive no more than 35% of their gross receipts from non-member sources, such as investment income, and no more than 15% from the use of the club's facilities or services by the general public, such as from renting out club facilities. Now, there's a danger here. The IRS has recently issued several rulings revoking the tax-exempt status of social clubs that violated these limits. So, if you're an officer of such a club, beware of how much income it receives from the public, because you might be held liable and your club might lose its status. Keep that in mind. And one final one. Here's one for you. Couldn't get to a small case tax court by disputing only part of the tax. Let me explain. An individual protested an IRS collection action in tax court and sought to use the simplified small case division that is available for cases involving no more than $50,000. But here's the snag. The total tax subject to collection was more than $60,000, but the individual conceded $20,000 and contested only $40,000 of the tax bill, saying this brought the case under the limit. Here's what the court said. The tax code says that small case procedures are available when the unpaid tax that the IRS has determined to collect does not exceed $50,000. The total unpaid tax in the IRS determination letter was $60,000. So that was over the limit, so the small case option is not available. You know what? The only reason I gave you these kind of cases today is I wanted you to know that you got to use common sense. You're not going to be able to beat the IRS every time. You've got to be reasonable. Can you beat them? Sure. But you know what? You're not going to be able to just pull the wool over their eyes. They know what they're doing. So let's talk about this. Everyone want to be a fly on the wall when the IRS is doing things? Sure you do. And that's where we're at right now when we're talking about inside the IRS. And first up, how about going to jail for a tax crime even if you reported all of your income? Well, you know, when the IRS can't prove you failed to report all of your income, it may still be able to prove you committed a tax crime. Here's an alert for you. Small business owners have a tendency to hire employees off the books to save payroll taxes, avoid union assessments, and attract foreign aliens not permitted to work in this country. If the IRS decides to pursue a criminal case, it's going to claim that the small business owner willfully aided and abetted in the filing of false payroll tax returns. Another crime, the IRS will attempt to charge is obstruction of justice if the person being audited tells his or her friends and business associates what to say or not say if they are contacted by IRS investigators. Don't be stupid. Be smart. Don't let these things happen to you. How about this? Lawsuits against the largest accounting and law firms for faulty tax shelter advice. Unhappy investors in tax shelters structured by some of the biggest and most prestigious accounting and law firms in the country have continued their lawsuits in state courts seeking recovery under favorable state laws. Here's some background for you. The big companies created very complex and exotic transactions designed to shelter income. When the IRS began to audit these deals, they were shown to be complex, uneconomic shams that simply generated tax savings. Investors are seeking damages for breach of fiduciary duty, fraud, negligent misrepresentation, breach of contract, malpractice, and civil conspiracy. Now, don't you see it, right? I see it. You just can't hide behind these things. It can't happen. How about this? Trusts are created to avoid income taxes. You think? Everybody asks that all the time. You know, the latest scheme, income-producing assets are transferred to a trust. The beneficiary of the trust then withdraws funds from that trust in the form of a loan. No tax has to be paid on the income earned by the trust or on the funds withdrawn from it. After the IRS identifies the promoter of such a trust scheme, it's going to bring an action in federal court seeking a permanent injunction against the promoter from selling these trusts to other unsuspecting taxpayers. If the IRS finds the promoter continuing to sell the schemes after the permanent injunction is granted, it'll ask the court to send that promoter to jail for contempt of court. And trust me, they will. They will absolutely do that. They're not going to put up with this stuff, guys. You got to be careful. You got to protect yourself. Now, do not go away, because coming up, waiting in the wings, is our own Sean LaFave. He's going to continue his series, Geared for Wellness. Now, I have no idea what this young man's going to talk about today, but I can tell you this much. It's going to be